Welcome again to Cornerstone Farm. We're here on our Tuesday tip day with Cornerstone Horsemanship. I'm Greta Cummings and this is Sherry Dale Billings. Today we're going to talk about the ins and outs of tying your horse. So Sherry, you tie your horse with a little different knot than I do. Doesn't mean one's necessarily better than the other, they're just different. So show us your knot quick.
Okay, and there's no wrong knot as long as it's a quick release knot. That's the most
That's
important.
an important point, yes.
Right. So I'm going to do how I tie mine, and it's, sometimes I just do it without thinking, and
just like that, she did it without thinking, and it's tied.
and then we'll show you how to do it in slower motion later. So quick release.
Mine's really very simple too. Same thing, twist, loop, tied.
And yours you
Done.
can.
Mine moves. That's the other thing. Yours doesn't move when you show that again in the end. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about where do you want to tie your horse at?
Well, when you go tie your horse up at somebody else's barn, you want to really look at the structure. You want to make sure that there's something solid to tie to if the panels are movable. You don't want to tie to portable corral panels
Right.
because they'll move, or a gate. So, and this barn's beam is probably the most sturdiest spot in the whole barn. So if your horse ever pulls back, it won't move anything. It has to move the whole barn.
Right. Let's hope they don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how high or how low should we tie a horse when we tie a horse?
For the best comfort, if they're going to be standing tied for quite a while, I like to tie about at eye level when they're at rest. So if they're standing there and right at eye level or the top of the withers, and then they can stand. You don't want to go much lower because then they get a foot over it or get hung up or get their head under it. It just causes for an unsafe
Yeah, so make sure your knot is at that horse's eye level or wither level or higher. So can we tie a horse too high? I mean, could we move this up higher and tie them?
Yeah, you can as long as you can reach it. You want to be able to reach this end so you can do a quick release if something happens for safety reasons. And I really like it on the trail. If you tie in a tree branch, you can tie right above the horse, but you always want to make sure that you have you can reach it and you have that quick release knot.
Quick release knot, exactly. Okay, so can we tie our horse too low? Can we put our knot down too far?
Yeah, you want to keep it above, above their resting eye or at the wither height, just because if it was too low, they can get their foot over it and they don't know how to get themselves out of it. And sometimes some horses will panic.
Yeah, they sure will. Okay, so now how long do we want to tie our horses? I'm thinking, how much rope do we want to give our horse between the knot and their halter?
Well, each horse will be different. So when you tie at this level and you're tying a pony, it may be a little bit longer to reach. You just don't want them to get their head down so far they can get their foot over the rope. So it depends on each horse.
It does, but like you said, the key is you don't want it so long that they could reach the ground and potentially step over the rope. But at the same time, we don't want them tied so short that their head can't move either, correct?
That's correct. We want them to be able to be comfortable. They breathe and let all their sinuses and everything drain at that relaxed mode. So you want to make sure they are standing at relaxed mode.
All right. Good. Okay, so Sherry, let's take some time and slow down our knot tying.
Go. So I make a loop on the horse side. So this rope goes to the horse. I put the tail end on top of the loop, then back behind the rope and into the hole. Make sure you keep your fingers out of the hole because if the horse pulls back, your fingers will get pinched. And pull it through, make a nice loop. If you have a horse that likes to chew on your rope or likes to untie themselves, I'd put it through the hole. The only problem with that is if you want to do a quick untie, you have to remember to pull it out of the hole first before you pull it to untie it.
Mine, when I tie my horses, I'll take the tail end of the rope. This is the rope that goes to the horse, and I'll come under it, and I'll twist it so that the tail of the rope is around all of the ropes. and then push my loop through and push it tight, like that. And again, you can do the same thing with putting the tail through if you need to. So there's the two different ways to tie the knots. One thing that is different about Sherry's knot than my knot is her knot doesn't move. You show us really quick how your knot doesn't move after you've tied it.
Okay. So if I gave this much slack in my rope when I tie, it will always stay that much slack. So no matter what, if the horse pulls back or pulls up or anything, my knot doesn't move.
No, your knot is stationary, whereas with my knot, it does move as it wraps around the horse lead, and it can slide up and down. So one downside to this is if the horse were to set back, they could pull that and tighten that so tight that it'd be hard to untie. Just one of the different ways how things work, and you need to find what works best for you and your horse. Get to know your horse and see how comfortable they are being tied so you know how to properly tie them. So there it is, your tip for this Tuesday. Join us next week again with Cornerstone Farms Tuesday Tips. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you.
And the horses you ride
From our barn to yours.